Uh, Thank you for joining me. I always appreciate a little bit of time to just share my thoughts, my experiences with the keyboards and other technology that I surround myself with on a regular basis. Today we're talking about the Keychron Q10. This is a modified Alice layout. People call it an Erisu layout as well. But normally an Alice layout will be something more like this. It won't have the extraneous keys here. It definitely, most likely, wouldn't have a knob, and typically doesn't have the arrow keys as well. That's my understanding. There's different things depending on who you talk to. There's different beliefs depending on who you talk to, but just to keep it simple, we'll call it the Alice. So this is the Q10 Alice layout. Keychron has several different Alice layout keyboards, but really just two different formats. There's this format with the bigger format. It's got the F row here and the M buttons, the M keys, the macro keys here. But they also have a smaller keyboard that doesn't have the F row here, the Q8 or the V8, but that's just their smaller Alice layout. And then they also have a split board, the Q11, that is literally split right down in the middle and is a little bit more compact. I've made a couple videos about that. I love that keyboard. That's one of my favorites. The thing I like about an Alice layout or a split keyboard is that it allows me to just be a little bit more comfortable in the way that I hold my hands when I type. Think about this. Take your hands, take your arms, and just lay them at your side. And then pick them up in a really comfortable fashion and set them on your desk or your table, wherever you are. And you'll see that your hands are in this position. They're not naturally like this. So that means your hands have to turn in order to be typing. On a standard keyboard, like this Q1 here, not only are you making your hands flat against the desk, you're also pulling everything in towards your body. So it's not really perfectly ergonomic for you, as they say. It's not really an ergonomic situation. So with a split or an Alice keyboard, you've got things splayed out a little bit so that you can at least have more of a comfortable typing angle for your hands and your wrists. There are different levels of Alice or split layout keyboards. There are some tinted Alice keyboards. There's one called the Neo Ergo. There's a lot of them. That's a little bit more ergonomic in a way because just the way that it's tinted, you have to turn your wrists less. But this is a great step in the right direction. This is a great way for someone to start learning about split keyboards. The thing I really like about the Alice layout is there's two Bs here. I love having the option of using my left or my right finger to hit the B. Anyway, I want to talk about a few pros and cons about this keyboard, and then there's a few things I want to talk about as far as what's on the box. What's on the box? Pros, construction. All the Q boards are really made very well. This is high quality aluminum, and it's made in two major parts. You can see that we've got these Allen key screws on the bottom so that we can take it apart. And it's very well made. It's a solid keyboard, and it feels good on your desk, and it sounds good on your desk. The layout is another pro for me. I like how it's just got this split layout going on. It just makes it easier for me to type. I'm just a little bit more comfortable. My typing speed picks up as I practice more and more on a keyboard like this. But still, since I'm so used to using a standard keyboard layout, I'm always going to be faster on that standard keyboard layout. I do think that some of my fastest times have come on a split or an Alice board, but for the most part, I just feel more comfortable and more confident on a standard board. I wish I could get that to change. Another pro to this keyboard is the connection for me. It's just a solid USB-C cord connection. They do make other, again, I've talked about the other Alice layout boards. There are a couple different, there's the Q Pro and the Q Max that now have wireless capabilities for the metal keyboard. There's also the V series of keyboards. I think the V Max is also wireless with a dongle. But with this connection, I haven't had any problems. It's wonderful. It's great. Something else that I like about this keyboard is all the inclusions. It comes with the Allen key, the screwdriver, the Phillips head screwdriver, keycap puller, and the switch puller. Everything you need to take this keyboard apart, tinker with it, make it yours, and make it how you want to make it. It also comes with this big piece of green tape on the back to basically provide a tape mod to allow it to sound, just give it a poppier sound. And I think it works. I've taken it off and tried without it, and it does make a difference in the sound. Something else that I really like about this is the software. Right here, I'll click on this. This is the VIA software. We can authorize a device, and we can quickly choose the Q10. It's the one that's connected, and you can see very easily I can make any changes to my keyboard. I can click on this home key, and if I want the home key to be end instead, that's all I have to do is select the end key down here, and now it's the end key. You can see that I've selected this to be screenshot, so I can just push M1 and it'll take a screenshot. This will open the task manager. Here, I can click on layer 1 and it'll show you that I've got a lot of open keys. All of these upside down triangles mean that this is an open key that I can assign a function to. And I've assigned all of these keys. I think actually comes standard with Keychron, but it assigns these light functions to the function row, so I can change the lighting settings with the key functions. Speaking about these buttons over here, these macro keys, that's another pro for me. I really like these macro keys. It gives me the ability to have a couple of keys that can quickly function as a screenshot or whatever I need for different applications. And I love that functionality. It allows me to just have one keyboard. I don't need a macro box. I don't need a macro pad. I don't need to have my numpad. I don't need to have my numpad on my desk. I can just keep this one solid piece of machinery here on my desk, and it's great. Another pro is the knob. Knobs sometimes get some hate, but I think that they're really great. I love just using it for the simple functionality of muting my computer or turning the volume up or down. You can also change the functionality of a knob so that it'll scroll horizontally through your web page or your screen or something like that. You can scroll through a timeline, you can zoom in or zoom out, but I just like the simplicity of the volume. This brings me to a con. Believe it or not, this is kind of a con for me because it's on the left side. All the other keyboards that I've got from Keychron that have knobs on them have knobs on the right-hand side, or both. So it just throws me off. It's not as functional for me because I'm used to it being over on this side. So it throws me off. I don't like it that much. Something else that I don't love about the Q10 is the keycaps that come with it. I've got some of these keycaps right here. I'll hold them up to the camera. Maybe I'll change hands so I can talk while I'm doing this. So they're made well. It's great plastic. They're double shot, which means that that legend, so the X right there, is made when they inject the white part of this plastic into the gray part of the plastic. The thing that I don't like about these keycaps is most of the other Keychron double shot keycaps that come out, they're fully injected, I guess would be a good term, which means that you can only see the white color when you're looking at the inside of the keycap. And then when you flip it over, you only see the gray color except for the legend. Let me show you. This is a good example. So this is from a different color set, but you can clearly see that there's two layers of color within that keycap versus just having that, I don't know, it's just a thinner layer. It's not as strong. It gives you a little bit more of a hollow sound. And to me, it just feels lazy. I don't know. It just doesn't feel as high quality as the other keycaps. So because of that, it's a con for me. There's only one other con that I have about this board, and it is the placement of this function key. I think that it is confusing for a couple of reasons. First of all, when I type and I'm in my comfortable Alice layout hand position, where my thumb goes is right on this function key. And this is where I hit space. I'll bring this keyboard in here, for example. And you can see where I am. I just use my left thumb as my space. I never use my right. I don't use my right thumb for anything. It just sits out here all the time. But when I'm using this keyboard, I sometimes accidentally hit the function key. So that bothers me, but I've gotten used to it. I've gotten better at it, just hitting it in the right spot. But also, most of my other keyboards have the function key all the way on the right over here. And that's kind of where I would expect it to be, not here. So, personal preference, but that's one of my cons. That's just a con that I have. It just affects the way that I use the keyboard in a way that I wish it wasn't there. Okay, I also want to cover what's on the box real quick. So, first of all, it says things about QMK via support. We talked about that. I showed you the website. I know I've shown the VIA website before, but that basically means that you can adjust the keys and make this keyboard your own. There's a double gasket design. Let me see if there's images of that here. So here it shows this double gasket design. So the first gasket is the gaskets that are placed on the PCB of this keyboard here. No, the first gaskets are placed on the plate here. You can see that there's some foam in between here. It sandwiches the keyboard in between the pieces of metal. And those gaskets allow it to have just a little bit of flex. You might be able to see the keyboard move a little bit here. And then there's another gasket. The other gasket is something that they put in between the two layers of aluminum, just so that it's turns so much. There is a gasket in between these two pieces of keyboard, and this just helps cut down on something they call case ping. What else do we got here? The CNC aluminum body. It's a well-made keyboard. It's a brick. I love it. I've already talked about that. This keyboard supports Mac and Windows with just a simple switch of a switch on the back here. So you can easily change it over to whether it's going to be Windows or Mac. And then you can just switch out the keys to make it correspond to the keys that you would use. There's 1,000 hertz polling rate, which just means it's really, really lightning fast. There are keyboards that go up to 8,000 hertz polling rate, but for most people that are just using a keyboard for typing or regular gaming, you don't notice that speed difference. That speed difference is for competitive gaming. This is a 75% keyboard layout, which means it does not have basically the numpad on the right and some of the function keys that would be over here. Like, we've got page up and page down, we've got insert and delete, and we've got home, but we don't have end. So I guess we're only missing just one of those keys and the whole numpad. This is a hot swappable keyboard, which means I can very easily take off the keycap and then also take out the key switch, and I can put in different switches. I can put on different keycaps. I can make this my keyboard. There are south-facing LEDs. As I plug this in, you'll see it lights up right down there. So those LEDs shine through very well on these switches and provide a lot of great light for the backlight. And then the OSA PBT keycaps, we've talked about these. They're not the best, they're not the worst. You could do better. That's all I've got for you. I appreciate you coming over and spending some time with me. If you have any questions, let me know, leave a comment. If you'd like me to try anything out with this keyboard, let me know, make a comment. All in all, I love it. I think it's a great keyboard. It's not my favorite as far as the Alice layout. There are some that I think are a little bit better, but this is really a fantastic option, a well-made keyboard, and well worth the investment. For my money, I would probably spend the extra dollars and get the Q Max at this point with that wireless. It's just much better. So be on the lookout for that. Thanks again for hanging out, guys. I'll see you later.